that I really love about the Gambia and in sports, especially in these times, is that we have a lot of youth that are really putting in the efforts. We've seen a lot of sport journalists that are going around all the way getting information for, the fans, for all the stakeholders. Get into the internet on daily basis. You've seen a lot of sport journalists, males, females, people that are, when you have a program like this, what we're trying to do is to be able to put the voice out there for everyone, that those that are really, you don't really need to be at Basori to know what has happened in the Basori game. You don't need to be at the Kama box bar to know what is really happening. You don't need to go to KG5 in Banjul. This is a program like this is there for everyone to be able to know on the go what is really happening. And then
greetings viewers, welcome again to another exciting episode of Africa in Sport here on African Renaissance TV Network with me, Muhammed M SaidyBah. Well, today, we are at Game Day 20 of the Gambia Football Federation Second Division League. The table looked really interesting. The games were interesting yesterday, and then we are here to give an in-depth analysis of the the 3 games that played yesterday, and of course the table standing, how it looks like. And then with me here again, I have my my special independent analyst here with us to take us through the analysis of the games that played in the Game Day 20 so far. Muhammed B Badjie, welcome back again.
Well, it's an amazing feeling to be back on this seat here. Especially on this show to discuss on the Gambian Football League, especially special focus on the second division. I am glad to be here. Well, today I come with no troubles, no problems. I am as peaceful as I can be.
Just to warn you, you are not to give any intro. You are not to give any closer. You are just an independent analyst here. Not just, but then you are not a co-host today.
I maintain my independence.
You are a co-host today. So starting with the game that played yesterday, we have 3 games that played. That is the Gambian Dutland versus BK Milan, and of course, Medina United versus Kanifing East. Of course, we have an interaction with the Secretary General of Kanifing East, and of course, Jam City also played against the league leaders. So now we will start with the game that played in Brikama, which is Jam City versus Harts FC. Now we've seen in the game, Jam City were able to maintain the scores with the league leaders. How impressive was that game for Jam City?
Well, for Jam City, it's quite impressive. You can see all over the internet today. It has always been that Jam City has shared points with the league leaders, Harts FC, and it has been an incredible point for them because looking at the position they are at right now, and then the number of points they have been able to accumulate at this level of the season, it's an impressive result for them. And then going against Harts, Tetato, that is a challenge they've taken on board. 1-1. And then Harts has also scored the first game goal in the first half, which has been quite impressive. So I think for first thing first, the attention has to be given, and then congratulations to the team and then the head coach especially for turning up that. I don't know whatever pep talk that has happened, during the break at halftime, but it has really worked wonders, because we've seen them respond immediately at the restart of the second half. Within 50 seconds of the restart, they were able to restore parity, and that is quite important. But then before we can get into more nitty-gritties, when you look at Jam City, looking at their league position, Jam City having played 20 games like everyone at this stage of the league, they've also been able to accumulate 20 points. This is becoming a syndrome now. We've seen that is on average is like 1 point per game.
Yeah.
But then this is not a safe zone for them. They are really just 2 points, barely 2 points above the relegation zone. Jara West is at the least position with 18 points. So if Jam City is at 20 points, that is quite a margin you can imagine. And then Harts, on the other hand, it's it's a call of the day for them. It's another day without losing.
How do you think this draw is for Harts FC? Because looking at it now, the points between them and the second now have reduced.
Well, yes, it has. They've dropped points. 2 points. That is a good drop. It is a good opportunity for the rest of the league to know, well, at least maybe, just maybe, there is a chance of someone catching up with them. But then I think this goes still to give them credit. Harts, we still have to give them that credit, because this is still having to continue that unbeaten run, which is quite impressive. Sometimes at this point of the league, it's not just about winning and winning. But then if you're able to keep up and then manage your games well to be able to go with a point, that is as good as
it's a good one.
something
Now,
for them.
let's talk about Harts itself. Harts in general, from the beginning of the season. Let's talk about their performance, and then because we've been talking about them as league leaders in the table rundown. So let's talk about Harts FC.
Well, Harts FC, SaidyBah, we said this before. I mean, when you look at a team like Harts, what they are doing is a dream. And then I think people are not really looking at one angle that is really worth looking at, and that is beyond this season. When you look at Harts last year at this time in the league, Harts were struggling so much.
Indeed, they
it
were
could
struggling.
be comparable to what GFF is facing today in this current league, current season. So they struggled. In fact, they barely made it to this year's competition. I mean, within just few games to go. So I think, in fact, the last game, that's when they were able to have a shift back into the relegation zone, out of the relegation zone. So that mentality shift, and then how they are able to put up this run of games with all the pressures that everyone is looking at them, saying there are important teams that are behind them fighting in the likes of BK, Hawks. We've seen lively teams like the Dutch Lions, but then they've been able to stand the test of all this. And they have been having injuries like every other person. They have inexperienced players in terms of young people compared to other people in the league. They have been coming from the provinces, traveling back and forth like every other team that we expect to struggle. But then they've stood the challenges or the test of all this, and they are not one of those financially, the biggest financial teams.
I want to come into that.
Yeah.
Like many of the communal teams will be complaining of having challenges, facing challenges like finance, and other challenges that they are facing. Like was Harts. Harts is a private team, but then they are not that much strong when it comes to finance and other areas that other teams are enjoying from. They are not that much linked with links outside to be able to sell their players, and also the opportunity to be able to link with scouts and all that, but they are able to maintain their performance in the league.
Well, all that comes back to kudos to them again. Sometimes it could be luck. It could be being on the positive side of the fence. At times you get all this, not just it's beyond the hard work. Sometimes it's about getting everything right on the time, getting the right coach who is able to find the right words for the players. Getting players with such a good mentality. And then, like, if you can remember, one of the things that the head coach of GFF did mention about Harts is that their level of mentality is that high because they have that winning mentality. When they're approaching games, if you are able to look at the technical aspect of it, they are going all out to win. It does not matter which team they are facing. They will respect teams like every other team, but then they are going for that win. And then 90% of the chance they will come out with that important win.
Victory
so
for them.
It's quite a dream for them.
It's a good performance from Harts, and then we've seen also the two teams that are following Harts, from second, third, from the past 3, 4, 5 games they also played at Basori, and they Gambia Dutch Lions FC were able to beat BK Milan.
Or as it was a derby. When you look at, especially in the first half of this season, when they first met, it was that tough game that everyone was looking forward to, and then the game didn't disappoint in terms of potential, in terms of playing big. And then on the reverse fixture, in the first leg, the BK won.
I want to draw you back a little bit to Harts FC. Now, looking at the game, the game played at Bekama, and then it's a home game for Jam City, and then we know all communal teams are they have that fan base. That fan base, that is always behind them, pushing them, especially Jam City. The Jam City people are always, supporting their team. Could this be an effect, for them to be able to, to level the scores with the Harts FC?
Well, it is said in football that fans are the 12th, or sometimes they could be the 13th player when you look at the technical side of the game. And they are that important. But when you are someone that is familiar with Jam City in terms of their play, especially when they're at home. Even if Jam City is losing at a 3-0 score, you don't see that from the perspective of the fans. The fans are always jubilated, and they are always that in high spirit to support their team. And then if the players are taking this on board to know that we have support from the fans, that we cannot disappoint these people. I mean, this support of these fans. So it's an energy that is really welcome. And then I think they've taken that on board, and it becomes a positive result.
And then it's important that we always emphasize that fans are very important in the improvement or the development of every football nation. Now, moving on to the game that played in Basori, which is Gambia Lion versus BK Milan. Now, there are two teams that have been following each other from a long time. From second, third, they are following each other, and then they played in the first round. Where BK Milan were able to,
I know wherever you are going. Before you go into this, because I know personally I will need extra energy. I mean, to be able to talk about the Dutch Lions versus BK Milan games, and then because these are games that are really interesting. So if I would suggest, maybe we go out we take a first commercial and come back, because I will really need to drink something and then take up that energy. And then
most definitely. We get, then we will take our commercial break. Then when we are back, we discuss on the Dutch Lion versus BK Milan, which happened in Basora. And then, of course, we'll talk about Medina United, of course, and Kanifing East that place in Banjul. Now, we'll take our first commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
Ici c'est la terre sainte, la patrie des dieux, bienvenue sur la terre-mère. Le nord, le sud, l'embrasse, l'est et l'ouest, on vit le rêve en la tierra de nuestros abuelos. Você sabe que as crianças são futuro, trazendo esperança para a próxima geração. Et donc pour l'Afrique du Djibouti au Sénégal, comme bandit, tout ce que je veux c'est soulever le Graal. L'Afrique est belle, l'Afrique est jeune, l'Afrique est forte, enfant de la terre-mère, lève le poing et envoie-lui du love. Enfant de la terre-mère, lève le poing et envoie-lui du love.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you are just joining us, this is Africa in Sport here on African Renaissance TV Network with me, Muhammed M SaidyBah, and my co-host, no, not my co-host today, the independent analyst on the show.
I maintain my innocence.
Muhammed B Badjie. Well, before we go into that, Muhammad, today is Sane Balama Nyancho's birthday. I wish to send our birthday greetings to him. He has been so much supportive and, of course, being one of our top fans, since joining the African Renaissance family. Well, Sane Balama, happy birthday, from the African Renaissance TV.
Well, he may probably owe you a cup of cake or something.
Most definitely. Happy birthday from us. And then, also to send our greetings to all the fans that are out there. Of course, Hadali from Kenya.
My favorite, one of my favorite countries. Yes.
And then, others watching us from Tanzania, from other parts of Africa, South Africa, Senegal, and other, part of Africa. This is indeed, a global, or African issue. It's about Africa in sport. We talk about, all other, sectors in sport that are, that Africans are doing well in. So now moving on, we are discussing on the, the games that played yesterday in the Gambia Football Federation, second division league. We talk about the game that played Harts FC and of course Jam City. Now moving on to the game that played afterwards, which is of course a derby, an interesting one. BK Milan versus the Gambia Lion, or Gambia Lion versus BK Milan.
Well, so, yes. However it comes, it's good because I said I needed energy to talk about this because the game had so much energy. It has so much football. And when you look at, a lot was at stake, and then these are two teams that were eyeing for at game day 19. These are if there is any team or any two teams that can really catch up to Hearts in terms of the table at the summit of the table. This could be Gambia Lions FC and then BK Milan, and as well as Hawks if they are able to also pull out some strings. But then coming to the game improper, like you said, Dutch Lions came out stronger. I mean, they came out with the whole 3 points thanks to a 2-goal victory, which has been an amazing one. On the reverse side, this game had happened, and then BK won. And in a game that many would have told you that the Dutch Lions really did play. They had a very good game in the first half of the season against BK, but then BK stole the points from them, if I am allowed to say that. But that is quite important. But then this is a game said by one of my favorite things about this in terms of Dutch Lion is that how they were able to come up with these 2 goals, because initially this has been their problem. And we've said that Dutch Lions had a very good defensive record coming into the last 10 games. So having to come up of that age and then be able to score 2 goals, and then this is without their main striker, Ibrahim Diallo. And then when you in fact look at the lineup, there has been a lot of changes that Coach Umar has brought in. And then, but this is not all. Even with BK2, you've seen that one of their best goalkeepers in terms of best ball playing goalkeepers. Hassan missed out to for some reason. So in an give or take, it was a good results for the Dutch Lions. But then BK is still in the midst and fighting for something.
Indeed. It was an electrifying game. Looking at the the last performance, that is their last meeting, that was at the at the BK home, that is at the late Usman Saho football field in Yundum. BK Milan and then the Gambia Dutch Lions. That was a controversy. There was a little bit of controversy within the game. But then last game, it was a fair play that went, and then the Gambia Dutch Lions were able to steal all 3 points from BK Milan. And then we've seen that even though they are not that much too much of they don't play that much in the team, that is Malang came off, and then he scored a goal for the Gambia Dutch Lions, even though it was termed as an own goal for the goalkeeper. Do you think Mourinho will make a change in the next game that he is to play, considering that the goalkeeper is considered to have scored an own goal?
Well, it's for Mourinho. I mean, he's an experienced coach. He knows what it means sometimes not to, if the results goes against you. They've not really played bad. BK played. When you look at the game, they could have also scored a couple of goals, and then there was a penalty too. So that could always be questioned in terms of the opposition to say whether or not it was a penalty. And then even the first goal,
there was not that much opposition.
No, there was no opposition to it. But then even the first goal, at some point, these are like little errors that really lead to goals. But then all in all, when you look at BK's play, they've played well. They've had that experience. And then I think when they continue on this route, they will not necessarily need to have a lot of changes in the 11. With those that played really, from my observation, had a really good game. And then they don't really need to do that. It's Mourinho wouldn't need to change much to be able to do that.
And then something important also about the game is that it's a home game for the Gambia Dutch Lions, but then they don't play at Brikama. And then because Jam City also was playing were also playing their home game in Brikama. How is this? How will you rate this as far as our the development of Gambian football is concerned?
Yes, I mean, sharing parks in the Gambia, in the case of the Gambia, or stadiums, in football is normal. I mean, this is Brikama is taken as the home ground.
I will have to disagree with that. In football, it's not normal, but in the Gambia, it's normal.
It's becoming normal. Well, we've seen one of the biggest leagues in the world. When you look at the Italian league, we have Milan and then Inter sharing the stadium. And that has been for over some years now. But then, what I'm trying to say is this: when you have Jam City and then let's say Dutch Lions having to both have a home game, which means one of them will have to really move. And then I think in this case they've done all the necessary things to know that it's feasible and then okay for the Dutch Lions to move because there was no home game at Basori from the first division. Yes, so that was quite okay for me.
It was okay for you. Now another game that played was of course Medina United, and also Kanifing East played in Banjul, and then the scores went all level at 0-0. We had the Secretary General of the Kanifing East Football Club with us in the last session.
Yes, Mr. Alphonse, he did an amazing job. I mean, I'm really impressed with his conversation in terms of East and then what they are doing as a football club is amazing. And then, but coming to this game, prior to game week 20, East and then Medina were both actually in the middle of the table. They are not really at the risk of relegation for now, but then they are not really fighting so much as like East will tell you their ambition has always been to trip into the first division, but then that is far from likely at this stage. Looking at the position they are in, and now they've all been stranded at 10th position and 11th respectively for Kanifing East and Medina. So all in all, I think for East we said this before that it's not just about accumulating points for them at this stage. Scoring goals has been their problem. We've seen, we said this before, that when you look at their point difference, in fact, their goal difference is just -1. They've scored 19 goals and conceded 20 goals. And then this has to remain the same. So goal scoring has to be something the coach has to really work on.
Indeed, they have to work on that. And then Medina also, they are not doing that much well in the league. Even though last season they were there, and then they did very well. They did a little bit well done this year.
Well, yes, Medina will have to double up. But then for coming of age, I think this league is that important. They have this experience. So to me, in their side, what I would have really advised or said is to take this season as a learning point again, like last season, and then they should be able to build on this to come next season to be able to put up a title mount or with a bigger desire to go for promotion into the first league. But then they are really not doing very bad. But then they will really need to double up.
Yeah, so we'll have to round this up. Time is not on our side. So, but before that, what advice or what final remark will you have, as far as sponsorship partnership is concerned for teams, and of course this program for partners or investors who are out there, who will be willing and then able to support the Gambian football and of course the Africa in sport here on Africa Renaissance TV.
Oh, that is quite an important part of this. I mean, whatever we do, the sustainability is that important. But then when you look at sports generally, I think one of the main ambitions of this program SaidyBah is for the improvement of sports generally, not just in the Gambia but Africa at large. And for us to be able to do this, it has to be a concerted effort with the support of everyone. And one positive thing that I really love about the Gambia and in sports, especially in these times, is that we have a lot of youth that are really putting in the efforts. We've seen a lot of sport journalists that are going around all the way getting information for the fans, for all the stakeholders, get into the internet on daily basis. You've seen a lot of sport journalists, males, females, people that are really doing amazingly well.
And then, now,
so that's quite important.
Just to add on to that, like yes, our last episode, the Secretary General of Kanifing East mentioned that sponsors do ask, what benefit do I have? Now, looking at Gambian football now, it doesn't stop only at the the club level. Clubs might not have that much followers as far as their Facebook or other social media handles are concerned, but then there are other people that are being that are following and then also sharing the information about those clubs, those teams, like for example the sport journalists, media houses in the Gambia and even outside the Gambia, because now we have other apps that are doing live scores for Gambian football too. So it's a benefit. I believe there are a lot of benefit that investors or businesses can get from sponsoring and then supporting teams in the Gambia or even other parts of Africa. And of course Africa in sport here is not an exception. So maybe you may continue from there. So
you always like to break me from there. I would have gotten to that point, but it's quite important, like you said. I mean, anyone coming to partner in terms of sports, in terms of investment, with collaborations, can only reap rewards positively for any businessman, for any investment or investor. I mean, this is what is there. This is what really makes sports lively. I mean, it becomes that profitable venture for the businesses, the lovers of sports, the enthusiasts, people that really have that passion for sports also becomes part of that enjoyment, and then so it becomes a collective effort. So like I said, when you have a program like this, what we're trying to do is to be able to put the voice out there for everyone, that those that are really, you don't really need to be at Basori to know what has happened in the Basori game. You don't need to be at the Kama box bar to know what is really happening. You don't need to go to KG5 in Banjul. This is a program like this is there for everyone to be able to know on the go what is really happening, and then this can only get this going that forward. Like you said, we always want to call on everyone, the support of everyone in terms of partnering to make this a bigger platform. And then, like we said, we are always going to be open to invitations of sport journalists, coaches, staff, technical staff. In fact, I'm looking forward to a point where we will get to bring on fans here, because a lot of fans have now been really asking those questions, if whether or not we can have them on board. But it would be an amazing part to have all of you participate here in this show, to be able to tell us your views, give predictions, and then become analysts of your own here in this game.
And then, I'm looking up to a time that we will be giving out, prizes for giving out correct prediction here on Africa. And then, that's why we need sponsors for this program. Come on, partner with us. It's an important one for development and of course improvement of our Gambian football here in the country. Now, this will be the end of our program. But before that, just to give you the games that we'll be playing today's evening, Unique Global will be playing against Elite United at the SK East football field, and of course Serekunda United and Serekunda FC, a derby. Now this will be a derby, Serekunda derby, that will be playing at the the late Usman Saho football field in Yundum, and of course Ouagadougou will be taking on Hawks at the at Basori, the Live Your Dreams football field in Basori. Now, this program, like we said, always is being sponsored by the Gambian Dutch Lion Consortium. Gambian Dutch Lion Football Club is playing in the 2nd Division League, and of course, they're playing too in the West Coast Region 3rd Division League. Now, till we come your way next time, bye from us.
Ici c'est la terre sainte, la patrie des dieux, bienvenue sur la terre-mère. Le nord, le sud, embrasse l'est et l'ouest, on vit le règne de la paix. nuestros abuelos.
Você sabe que as crianças são o futuro, trazendo esperança para a próxima geração.
On donne tout pour l'Afrique, de Djibouti au Sénégal. Comme bandit, tout ce que je veux c'est soulever le Graal. L'Afrique est belle, l'Afrique est jeune, l'Afrique est forte. Enfant de la terre, mère, lève-toi et envoie du love. Enfant de la